Hi there. Welcome back to Style and Origins. This is season two. Who's excited? This guy is. This is an amazing season, and I'm thanking you for coming back. So, today we have a very interesting subject starting the season strong with some theory of human motivation. Motivation and learning. Have you thought about that? What it takes for someone to actually be an ultimate learner, to actually get things more efficiently? There's a lot of factors involved with that, of course. And some of that obviously comes from motivation because we also look at behavior. So this episode is focused on the famous hierarchy of needs. It's called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, established by American psychologist Abraham Maslow. Started with a book in 1943 called The Theory of Human Motivation. And that's basically the foundation for anything that you know as the hierarchy of needs. The premise, and particularly the strong point here with Maslow, is that he took a look at what has been written so far, obviously in psychology, about motivation. Until that point, some Gestalt psychology, some other factors, some from Dewey, for example, and he looked at the body and how the human body, maintains homeostasis, and that is, if our levels, we always try to keep a balance. So if you consider a balance of our minds, our bodies, and your body is always sort of balancing things out to a very neutral state. Well, in this condition, then Maslow figures, or at least seems to figure in the writing, that we as humans have specific needs that need to be satisfied, and they have an interdependency. They have a relationship between that, right? So if you were to like do a Google search right now, or you just Google, because I don't know why I'm saying Google search, is when I say Google, you know what that means. But if you were to go ahead and check out the hierarchy of needs and what that is, you're going to find a bunch of pyramids. Of course, everybody needs a pyramid for a hierarchy. They cannot use anything else. It has to be a pyramid. But yes, you're going to find a bunch of pyramids out there with all kinds of colors. Sometimes, you can even confuse this with Bloom's taxonomy pyramids. But anyway, the bottom level of that is physiological needs. So physiological needs can relate to food, water, warmth, rest, having a place to eat, having something to eat, having a place to sit or lay, all that stuff. And then you have safety needs, which will involve a little bit of that shelter, but also that you feel safe, that there are no threats. And then from that perspective, the next level to that will be belongingness and love needs. So esteem, related to social contact, social connections, friends, lovers. And on top of that, then steam, related to steam and needs, so respect and all those different things. So there is this hierarchy that's set out there. You're going to find it set as a pyramid, and that may not be the right thing based on the publications from Maslow. He never mentioned anything about having a fixed hierarchy, and there's even a sort of a twist. So when you read Maslow's, he seems to take you one way, take you in one route, and make some statements, and then come back and tell you, well, but that doesn't always apply everywhere, and that may not be the thing. So it gets you thinking, which is it's a luxury today, my friends. So with all the distractions we have out there, but definitely an interesting thing. So of course, when you get this sort of interpreted by somebody else and synthesized when you go to a training session or something, people tell you, oh, well, because, if you need food, if you're hungry, you're not going to be able to learn, right? If you're hungry, you're not going to be able to do all many things. you're going to focus on food. And that's what Maslow also kind of put together. But it gets presented to us today, though, as sort of like a very rigid hierarchy, and you have to do the one thing, then the other, then the other. And that's not exactly how it was intended to be by Maslow. There is a dependency, but he does mention that there are some exceptions. So the exceptions are, and it's actually in the book, the 1943 book, Theory of Human Motivation, right? So there are some people for whom, instance, self-esteem seems to be more important than love. Yeah, there are a lot of different people out there, right? So yeah, and I can see this related to the sense that, sometimes you get consumed in a project and you don't even think you may be hungry, but you are so focused, you are so in the zone that all that stuff is like, yeah, whatever. I'm working. I'm gonna keep working on this. I got 4 hours. So in that perspective, our needs are not, you know, that fixed, that locked in. So this begins all the work, right? And later in all the episodes, we'll talk about arcs specifically for education, the model for motivation, specifically for education that was put out by Kelly. But in this case, with ramifications to psychology, we have our friend Abraham Maslow putting out this uh, set of needs, and the interesting piece is at the end of his book, he actually provides as well some notions that this is not this could actually be more like goals that we have, goals that we accomplish. So technically, if you think about it, we all have that capacity where we can meet a goal, and after we meet that goal, well, psychologically and biologically, it has been shown. If you listen to Andrew Huberman, for example, he has mentioned that dopamine release is not actually the accomplishment, but it's the process. So it's your drive towards that goal. Once you get the goal, yeah, there's a little bit of a celebration piece there and you feel achieved. But after that, then there's, okay, what's next? At least if you're like me, that's my problem. So something to think about. And in the summary, Maslow's basically puts it this way: there are at least 5 sets of goals, which we may call basic needs. So it's an interesting distinction because today, at least, when we talk and we say needs and goals, they mean different things, right? And what that can be is that, you may have a goal, but to achieve that goal, there are some needs you have to meet to get to that. So how do we translate that to learning and development? Well, in terms of running any facilitated sessions, of course, it'll be good to take care of some of those housekeeping items that we always do, such as the location of the place, accessibility for that place, and temperature, and always, of course, the ability of the amenities of coffee and food and things like that. Besides that, to be conscious and to be alert about safety concerns or any type of security concerns. So that covers those basic needs. And as we move forward, having clear communications, and considering all the people in that learning facilitation group. But it's an interesting thing to look at this, that perhaps this is not a fixed hierarchy, that some people can have more interest for self-respect and have more interest for, let's say, social connection than the previous items involve or perceive. The way that Maslow explained it as well seemed to be um, more of a scale per se, and not so much a step-by-step hierarchy, but that once we achieve one thing, then the possibilities for the next thing may appear. And there's also possibility of a reversal of that hierarchy. So that you can start from self-actualization, which is the top level, from self-actualization and work your way back down to those basic needs. And that could be the case primarily, I think, in history, known artists to stand for a cause and disregard anything else. People that stand for a specific cause and they disregard their own safety and anything else, because that is the behavior that provides a motivation that helps them achieve that goal. I think that's the difference between us and animals, technically speaking. So if you can think of the hierarchies are very, they could be applied to animals, but they're very human based. Is our cognition, our thinking is what can change what we do behaviorally for that matter. However, behavior, as it is known, sort of leads. Behavior happens out of action and practice, not just because you're thinking. So I wish it was that way, because otherwise then you wouldn't see anybody driving with their phone in their hand, and people, they're so distracted that they don't have the lights on at night, stuff like that. And I'll leave you with this quote that comes from our friend Maslow, and is from the book Theory of Motivation. I'm putting all the links in there that are going to be interesting for you, by the way. Check the links in the description of this episode, where you can go through the articles talking about how, other perspectives that debunk, in a way, Maslow's thought and whatnot. But it's an interesting debate happening in the actual forum, especially on the link for the House Journal. I recommend checking that out. But I'll leave you with this. An act is psychologically important if it contributes directly to satisfaction of basic needs. Less directly is so this contributes, or the weaker this contribution is, the less important this act must be conceived from the point of view of dynamic psychology. That's a very interesting take, because what it means is that your acts become very important. Basically, what I was just mentioning to you in terms of the examples of the artists or anything else. In a simple example, you open the fridge, there's no food in there, your stomach is gurgling a little bit. So your action is to grab the keys, get in the car, go to the grocery store, or today, just open your phone and order some food, I guess. But yeah, so that those actions are important to you. Therefore, you are most likely to take those actions and meet the satisfaction of the basic needs. Awesome. All right. So this is first episode of our second season. Thank you for listening, and make sure that you check out the YouTube channel Style Learn where you'll have many other tutorials. You have tutorials and other things about L&D thoughts, and the Real Addy series, which has all the different steps of the Addy model that were never discussed. Thank you.